Hi, good afternoon. I wanted to talk about this fabulous book, Billy and the Minpins. I'm fortunate to have a storytelling performance license to tell the story of Billy and the Minpins, not reading, but telling the story. And so often I get asked by children, what's the difference between storytelling and reading? And the difference really is that storytelling forms the basis from the oral tradition of storytelling, which is engaging with the audience and telling them the story using the mind's eye, allowing them to experience that story inside their head. The one thing I really love about Billy and the Minpins is that all of Roald Dahl's experiences that he had when he was in the Royal Air Force and working in Africa, so much of that forms a part of the story. And also the Forest of Sin. I mean, the Forest of Sin, when Billy's mum said, oh no, the Forest of Sin, and she recited the poem, beware, beware the Forest of Sin, none come out but many go in. I was fortunate enough last week to go and visit the Roald Dahl Museum in Great Macedon. And I went for a walk and I went into what was the forest that Roald Dahl looked at and thought, no, that is going to be the Forest of Sin. And it was absolutely wonderful just taking that short walk up towards the forest. And I actually passed some children that were out on a school trip. They'd just been to the museum and they were going for a walk as well. And I stopped and I said to them, do you know what that forest is? And they didn't know. They didn't even know Billy and the Minpins. And I said to them, no, let me tell you really quickly a little short excerpt from Billy and the Minpins. And I shared with them something very short. And the one part about Billy and the Minpins that works so well when I'm in schools is the refrain of when Billy's mum is telling Billy that there are things far worse than lions and tigers in the forest. Of course, there are wangdoodles and snozwanglers and hornswogglers and vermicious knits, but nothing as terrifying as, and this is where I ask all the children and the teachers to repeat after me, the terrible, blood-suckling, tooth-pluckling, stone-chuckling spittler. And the kids absolutely love that. And then there's the parts where Billy is in the forest and it's so quiet and he can hear the whooshing and the swishing and the noise of the spittler that's chasing him. And he shouts for his mum, Mummy! You know, that also really works well. And the kids always giggle when that happens. And of course, the part where Billy meets the Minpins. And I characterize Don Meany, the leader of the Minpins. And I usually take my hat off and I just use my fingers and I give Don Meany eyebrows and his beard. And the kids feel like they are actually meeting Don Meany. And the part of the swan where Billy's flying on the swan and I get the children to take part and wave their hands and their arms as though they are flying on the swan. You know, I remember one little girl, the first time I told Billy and the Minpins to a school. It was a year 6 class, and this young girl, well, the whole class sat down. They sat down in their neat little rows, and over time, all the children started to relax. And there was this one particular girl that lay down on her tummy, looking straight ahead of me, and her head was resting on her hands, and she was on her elbows. And at the end of the story, she came up to me, and she said to me, Andy, I felt like I was flying on the swan. And I'll never forget that. And more recently, when I was telling this story during World Book Week, it was a school that had a special education needs class for each year. And in the one class, so this was a year 5 class, this little boy came up to me afterwards. And he said to me, Andy, thank you so much. I don't laugh and smile very much, but you made me giggle. And he turned away and he walked off. And I thought, well, that was lovely. And then his teacher came up to me and said, I don't know what you did, but that child never laughs and never smiles. And all I saw was him beaming and laughing the whole way through your session. And these are the things that I experience as a storyteller. And I know that so many other storytellers experience the same thing. And this is the gift that we give to children. The ability to show them that reading a book and telling the story can offer you so much joy. And above all, if we watch with glittering eyes the whole world around us, The greatest secrets are hidden in the most unlikely of places. And those that don't believe in magic will never find it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.